Have you ever had a moment when anxiety seemed to come out of nowhere? Or maybe you found yourself thinking, why am I feeling this way again, even when nothing obvious is happening? Welcome back to Quieting Anxiety. I'm Dr. Monica Frank, and today we're going to talk about one of the most important pieces of anxiety management: how your thoughts can affect, maintain, and even escalate anxiety. Let's begin by getting centered. Take a slow, gentle breath in and release. Now bring your attention to your shoulders. As you breathe in again, lift them gently toward your ears. And as you breathe out, let them drop. Let go of any tension you're holding there. Try that one more time. Inhale. Raise the shoulders slightly. Exhale and drop. Now imagine a soft, heavy blanket being laid across your shoulders. It's warm, comforting, like the perfect weighted blanket. Feel its gentle pressure soothing your muscles, helping your body know it's safe to relax. That heaviness travels down your arms, to your elbows, your hands, even your fingertips. With each breath, feel a little more supported, a little more grounded, as if you're being held gently in place. And now, let's begin today's episode. Let's start with something that happens to many people: a feedback loop. Think of it like a computer program stuck in an endless cycle. A leads to B, B leads to C, and then somehow you're back at A again. That's how anxiety can spiral. For example, imagine someone has their first panic attack. It might initially be triggered by stress, exhaustion, or something physical like low blood sugar. That first panic attack is scary. But what really turns it into a problem is the fear of having another one. That fear creates constant hyper-awareness. They begin to monitor every physical sensation. Is my heart racing? Do I feel dizzy? What if this is another panic attack? What if I can't control it? And when you're that focused on your body, even small shifts can be misinterpreted as signs of danger, which leads to more anxiety, which then fuels more physical symptoms, and the cycle goes on. That is how panic disorder develops. It's not just the panic attack, it's the fear of the panic attack that keeps it going. The good news? This cycle can be broken, and that's where cognitive therapy comes in. Now let's talk about cognition, because that's really at the core of CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognition simply means the process of thinking, perceiving, and reasoning. You're using cognition right now just by listening to this podcast and trying to make sense of it. The cognitive in cognitive therapy refers to how our thoughts shape our emotional experiences. But the problem is, sometimes our thinking gets off track. You might misinterpret a situation or exaggerate a danger without even realizing it. For instance, someone might believe that flying is dangerous, even though statistically it's the safest form of travel. Or they might believe that experiencing anxiety means they're going to lose control. These are cognitive errors, patterns of inaccurate or extreme thinking that fuel anxiety. We'll talk more about specific errors in future episodes. But for now, the important thing to know is this: your thoughts matter. The way you interpret situations can increase or reduce your anxiety. So let's look at how anxiety works in a cycle. Typically, anxiety is triggered by something, either external, like a stressful situation, or internal, like a physical sensation or thought. But after that initial trigger, your thoughts are what keep the anxiety going. This is what we call the anxiety cycle. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, I'm not choosing to feel anxious, I want it to stop. Yes, but ironically, the more you try to get rid of anxiety, the more attention you give it. That intention often includes catastrophic thoughts like, what if I can't breathe? Or what if I lose control? Or what will other people think? And those thoughts ramp up the anxiety even more. A trigger creates initial anxiety symptoms that cause initial fearful thoughts, which worsens the anxiety symptoms, that in turn create even more catastrophic thoughts, then more anxiety, then more fearful thoughts, and around it goes. For instance, someone with social anxiety may think about needing to ask a question in a meeting. They start to have anxiety symptoms, then they have thoughts about others noticing they are anxious, and then their anxiety increases until they are no longer able to ask a question. Now that you understand how the anxiety cycle affects your thoughts and feelings, let's talk about how to interrupt that cycle. CBT helps you break into this cycle. There are several ways to do that. You can change the way you think about the anxiety, or you can reduce the symptoms of anxiety through relaxation or grounding techniques, or you can address the original trigger that set the cycle in motion. A combination of these often works best. Here's what's important to understand. When you can get to the place where you believe, so what if I feel anxious? I can tolerate it, it won't harm me. Other people experience anxiety too, so they'll understand. You've won an important battle. But I'm not talking about just saying those words. I mean truly believing them, because that's when the fear loses its grip. Anxiety reduces. It's not eliminated, because as I said, we need anxiety. The ultimate goal with anxiety is to truly be able to listen to it. Not what you fear it is saying, but what it is trying to tell you. Sometimes that might be an uncomfortable truth, but by facing those truths, you make your life better. Many of my clients have told me, I came to therapy to get rid of anxiety, but I ended up changing my entire life. That's because they didn't just learn to tolerate anxiety, they learned to listen to it. They began facing difficult truths and making meaningful changes. That's the real power of CBT. It's not about eliminating anxiety completely. It's about understanding it, learning from it, and taking control of your life. In the coming episodes, we will be talking much more about specific types of thoughts that trigger or exacerbate anxiety symptoms, and how to begin to challenge those thoughts. That's the cognitive part of therapy. But first, we will focus more on how to reduce the anxiety symptoms, which includes relaxation, grounding, and mindfulness. As a start, I want to briefly mention my panic assistance audio. You can find it in the description links. We'll talk more about this tool later, but I know some of you may be seeking immediate relief. This audio talks you through a panic attack or a high anxiety episode. You may not understand all of it right now. If it helps, good. If it doesn't, it may be worthwhile to revisit later when you have a better grasp on understanding this method and how it works. However, don't wait until you're panicking to use it. Listen to it beforehand so you're familiar with it. That way you can decide whether it's helpful for you now or if it might be something to return to later as you build more skills. For today, try noticing just one anxious thought and gently ask yourself, Is this thought really true, or am I catastrophizing? Just doing this once a day can begin changing your relationship with anxiety. Keep recording your moods in the Quieting Anxiety CBT Tools app. Log what you're doing, how you're feeling, and any symptoms or thoughts you're experiencing. This is valuable data that can help you figure out your specific anxiety triggers in future episodes. Continue practicing the breathing, grounding, and relaxation methods we've already introduced. The more you practice, the more effective they'll be. And be sure to listen to the earlier episodes if you haven't done so, as each episode builds on the previous ones to provide step-by-step skills to manage anxiety. To recap today's main points, anxiety often becomes chronic due to symptoms being fueled by thoughts. Cognitive behavioral therapy helps break that cycle by changing thoughts, reducing physical anxiety symptoms, and addressing original triggers. Before we close today, let's return to that comforting image from earlier. Once again, picture that soft, heavy blanket resting on your shoulders, warm, familiar, and steady. Take a moment to let it ease the tension in your jaw, your neck, and back. Let gravity help you sink into that calm, just for a moment. Remind yourself, in this moment, you are safe. You are learning. You are moving forward. Take a deep breath in and slowly release. When you're ready, bring your awareness back to the space around you, maybe with a gentle shoulder roll or by wiggling your fingers. Keep in mind that progress isn't linear. Some days will be easier, others more challenging, and that's completely normal. You're learning new skills, and each experience, even setbacks, are opportunities to practice. Until next time, keep practicing, keep breathing, and keep moving forward.